It is finally over. The 49ers and this 2024 season from hell wraps up in quite fitting fashion, given the way that things have been sliding lately. They gave up 47 points to the Arizona Cardinals, 47-24. So bad that Nick Bosa called it embarrassing. Bosa said that it was embarrassing, and he also said that the 49ers' problems defensively are both personnel based and schematically based, which is not a ringing endorsement of the coaching staff. So I think the top thing on people's minds right now is how the 49ers are going to proceed as far as leadership on the staff goes. The futures of Nick Sorensen, the 49ers defensive coordinator, and Brian Schneider, their special teams coordinator. I wrote a little bit about that, but I think that we might have one clue coming directly from Kyle Shanahan himself. And maybe this doesn't pertain directly to Sorensen and Schneider, but it definitely pertains to a busy few days coming up at the 49ers facility. So what happens after these games is that Kyle Shanahan will step up to the lectern and he'll begin his post-game press conference with a recap of the injuries during the game. Right after the injury portion is finished, Kyle Shanahan will say, "Go ahead," meaning he wants reporters to begin asking their questions. Today, Kyle Shanahan delivered a preemptive strike after the injury report before opening things up to questions. You can have a listen to what Kyle Shanahan said right here.
As far as like everything goes, I know you guys got a job to do. Like anything for the off season, like coaches, players, any of that stuff. Like I got a job to do too. I got to finish this out the right way with our team and stuff tomorrow. So any of that stuff, I'll answer late in the week for you guys. Besides that, go ahead.
So Kyle Shanahan did not want to answer any questions about job security of anybody on the staff, about future player contracts moving forward. You could say that this is something that he might have a version of every year at this time when the 49ers are eliminated, but read in between the lines here. Look at the performance here. The 49ers gave up 116 points over their final 3 games of the season. The last real defensive hurrah of the season was that Thursday night game against the Rams, where Devondre Campbell walked off the field and quit. They only gave up 12 points on that night, but since then, the defense was gashed by the Miami Dolphins. Then it got even worse against the Detroit Lions. And then it hit absolute alarm bell code red against the Arizona Cardinals here in the desert. That's where I am, by the way. This is a hotel curtain. I know some of you get alarmed occasionally when I'm sitting here in some of these rooms with no good background. I know in the studio we have a really good background. At the Marriott here in the desert in the Phoenix area, the background's not all too great, but the Wi-Fi works well, so we can talk about it here. 47 points allowed by the 49ers to the Arizona Cardinals. That's why Nick Bosa said that it was embarrassing. That's why, and that combined with the defensive slide at the end of the season. I don't care about injuries. I don't care about some of the schematic challenges that the 49ers might have faced, given those injuries, also given the first-year defensive coordinator. When a team leader like Nick Bosa starts saying that it's hard to look his teammates in the eyes because of how embarrassing a certain performance was or a certain string of performances were, when Nick Bosa is not shy to say that schematics were part of the issue, as he alluded to today in his answer, you absolutely have to toss out some of the troubles that the 49ers have had that were out of their control out the window, and you have to look to see if what they're doing with what they have is enough. And I think the answer is really clear. The 49ers are saying, and I don't know if Kyle Shanahan's going to say this, but many of the 49ers are saying the facts are clear to us when we look at this from the outside. What Nick Sorensen was able to put on tape with this defense has not been enough for the 49ers to close this season. It sometimes is less about contention and making the playoffs and all that, right? The 49ers got eliminated a few weeks ago after the loss to the Rams, and it's more about putting something on tape that you can at least hang your hat on, be proud of, even if you're not going to go play in the playoffs. And what the 49ers have put on tape over the past 3 weeks has not been something they can be proud of, which is why Nick Bosa said it was embarrassing. Special teams wise, it's been an embarrassment all season. Jake Moody missed another field goal today. The 49ers entering this game had given up over 55 expected points on special teams. It was literally the difference this year between a negative point differential and a positive point differential. The poor quality of special teams play in Brian Schneider's unit. Well, now we look at what happened in this game against the Cardinals, and we can say it didn't get any better to close the season. We can firmly say that both the defense and the special teams ended on an absolutely embarrassing slide. And when we look at what Kyle Shanahan just said about the work that the 49ers have to do over the next few days, I think we can confidently say that it's going to be a busy few days at the 49ers headquarters. Moving to the update, this is the firm one that we have right now. The 49ers have secured the number 11 draft pick in the 2025 draft. So when we talk about this team retooling over the course of the offseason, I've mentioned several times that the silver lining, and this goes back to the personnel department and what they were able to do as far as the 2024 draft class, the silver lining is the rookie class that the 49ers were able to expose to NFL football for the first time this year. That rookie class, from Ricky Pearsall to Renardo Green to Dominic Pooney to Malik Mustafa to many other players, was a resounding success, and the 49ers are going to have to build around that class in 2025. Obviously, that class is not the official centerpiece of the 49ers. The big centerpiece is their quarterback, who did not play today. That is Brock Purdy. And now that the Lions and the Vikings have finished, meaning that the NFL 2024 regular season is officially done, Brock Purdy is eligible to sign his new contract. He had not been eligible until now, but the regular season is over, and based on the collective bargaining agreement rules, Purdy can now sign with the 49ers for the long term. That is going to be the centerpiece negotiation of all the stuff the 49ers have to do this offseason. It's going to be busy as hell. We know that they have questions at almost every single position group. We know they have a lot of guys returning or set to return because they're under contract, but they also have a lot of key players who are scheduled to enter free agency. We know that they have that number 11 pick in the draft, so we're going to be talking about what they might do with that. But above all else, the centerpiece of this team, and when I just watched the Detroit Lions and the Minnesota Vikings play, and I saw how much Sam Darnold struggled against the Detroit Lions, the same team that Brock Purdy carved up for most of that game, the centerpiece of what the 49ers do moving forward is going to be their star young quarterback, Brock Purdy, who remains under contract for one more season. But I think it's going to be imperative that the 49ers come to a drama-free resolution here. The drama with the Brandon Ayuk situation obviously hurt the team in 2024. Ayuk is an important piece as an ex-wide receiver. The 49ers obviously missed him this year after he tore his ACL. But Brock Purdy is the piece. He is the quarterback at the middle of everything, and he's one of the best in the league. The 49ers need to make sure that that is ironed out as quickly and as seamlessly as possible this offseason. And then they could focus on building out everything around Brock Purdy, which can start with a lot of the youngsters, right? A lot of the youngsters who played so well in this 2024 season give the 49ers some reason for optimism into 2025. But there's also a lot of reason for concern moving into 2025, including the embarrassing defense. And how about the turnover differential? Ever since the bye week, the 49ers managed to pick up only 2 takeaways, and they gave the ball away 15 times. So 15 giveaways, 2 takeaways. That is a minus 13 turnover differential ever since the bye week. That is the second worst in the league in that time span. Second worst only to the Cleveland Browns. The 49ers led the league in turnover differential over 2022 and 2023. So to finish the season as the number 31 team, that is a hell of a difference. I mean, there's a lot of other juxtapositions. They clinched the division here in Arizona last season. This season, they secured sole possession of last place in the NFC West here in Arizona. They obviously won by scoring 45 points against the Cardinals here in the desert last season. They lost, giving up 47 points this year in the desert. So things turned upside down for the 49ers. What a difference a year can make. I talked about it on the San Francisco Standard. My article there is going to be up shortly, so make sure you check that out. But I think that now, finally, at long last, we have a chance to turn the page and look forward to 2025. Now that this season is over, the 49ers are going to conduct their exit interviews. We're going to find out who's staying on staff, who's not staying on staff. Over the next couple months, we're going to find out who's remaining under contract with the team and who's going to be going elsewhere. We'll also see who they sign. It's going to be in the month of March, free agency, who they draft late in April. And we'll see how they can try to turn this around with the turnover differential, the issue at the core of everything. You've got to be able to protect the football and then take the football away from opposing teams. That is the one stat that is most correlated with winning and losing. And I think that the entire project for the 49ers is going to be centered around how they are able to extend Brock Purdy this offseason, because he is now officially eligible for that contract. So that's the 49ers update for you. Article coming up soon on the San Francisco Standard. The 49ers have secured the number 11 draft pick in this 2025 upcoming draft. They can now move on to trying to pay Brock Purdy. And look here, we have the article up on the screen. I'm going to get this ready for you. It just now published on the San Francisco Standard. So here we go. One last embarrassing loss epitomizes the 49ers' doomed season. Kyle Shanahan, Mike just let me know, he let Clay Kubiak call plays today. Kubiak called plays during the preseason when games didn't matter. This is the first time that Kyle Shanahan did not call plays in the regular season game as either the coordinator or the coach. That being said, again, the game didn't count today, and neither did the preseason game. So Shanahan, at the very least, gave Clay Kubiak a little bit more responsibility today. But as far as that meaning anything in the bigger picture, we're going to have to talk to Kyle over the course of the next couple of days. Still a lot of things to figure out, and I think that we actually have to talk to people to decipher the meaning of all that. For one, I talked so much about it last week. The 49ers passed the ball 16 straight times against the Detroit Lions. 10 of those straight passes came before garbage time, before they were down by a lot. It was still a really close one-possession game. That's a big error from Kyle Shanahan. You can't pass the ball 10 straight times. Any quarterback in the history of the game would be in a vulnerable position passing the ball that many consecutive times. And I think that when you're stuck in the heat of battle, when you're Kyle Shanahan on the sideline, sometimes you could lose track of how many straight times you've passed. And when so much is going on the sideline and you're not noticing a couple small things, and then you do pass 10 straight times, and those safeties like Kirby Joseph did against the Lions start zeroing in on your quarterback's eyes, that could slap you in the face really quick. And it did with the second interception from Brock Purdy, with Kirby Joseph training in on Brock Purdy's eyes. I think in a really frenetic situation like that, as a head coach, you need somebody that is seeing the big picture while you are so sucked into the down in and down out of the game. You need somebody to be able to tell you, hey, coach, we passed the ball 7 straight times, 8 straight times. Maybe we shouldn't do it an 8th or a 9th time. Maybe Clay Kubiak can be that guy for the 49ers moving forward. I don't know if Kyle Shanahan's going to abdicate play calling responsibility moving forward. I don't think that him doing so in a game that didn't mean anything in the standings today means a whole lot. I think we're going to have to hear more from Kyle on that front. But and this goes back really to last week, but even before then, I have advocated for the 49ers having a bigger picture warning mentality to make sure that they don't get stuck in some blind spots. And they definitely got stuck in some blind spots last week against the Detroit Lions offensively. Today, they were just atrocious defensively. And we'll see if the 49ers can dig themselves out of that hole with the current leadership, or if it's going to have to be new leadership. The futures of Nick Sorensen and Brian Schneider are definitely in big question following the embarrassing end to the season for the 49ers. and how they enter it will definitely be a fascinating offseason. So this is the reading that you have to do. One last embarrassing loss epitomizes the 49ers' doom season. There's Juwan Jennings, who definitely should not have been ejected. The 49ers did not meet any of their incentives today. Jennings, 25 yards short of 1,000 because he was ejected on a really, really, really weak display from the officiating crew. It was John Murphy Bunting who was the primary perpetrator. Jennings was blocking him legally. It was Murphy Bunting who was delivering the post-whistle contact. Jennings was really defending himself, but he took it well. Talked to Juwan in the locker room. His quotes are all over this article. I'm going to toss this over to Mike, who's going to put the link into the description so you can go check that out. And Mike points out that Kyle not play calling, he meant he was definitely watching Sorensen this week and today. That's a good point. But I think that I would hope that Kyle Shanahan is auditing Nick Sorensen's performance regardless. And based on what we heard from Kyle Shanahan, the preemptive strike during his press conference, it's going to be a busy few days at 49ers headquarters. So everybody, make sure you follow along here. I will be taking you through all the moves the 49ers make in the immediate aftermath of this season and well beyond that. The first look into the moves and the potential moves is in that article up on the San Francisco Standard. I have copied and pasted the link. Mike is putting it into the description. So go ahead and sign up now. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you soon.